peeps, we are back. We are talking the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 14, episode 19, which is the reunion part 2. Hey, before we get into the video, please do me the honors of subscribing to my channel, hitting the notification bell so you can always be notified when I post new content, hitting the thumbs up because that does wonders for my channel, and share. Thanks. Now, I have to tell you, it took me forever to do this review just because I can't believe that this is a 3-part reunion. Listen, part 2 of this reunion, I was dozing off. I wish that I could have fast forward through. There wasn't much going on in this reunion, but we're going to hit the high points. There's not going to be a lot of clips. I just really felt like they should have paid us to watch it. Seriously. So before we get into the reunion, I did see Kandi on Watch What Happens Live, and she did say that she believed that Marlo had rehearsed and pre-planned what she was going to say at the reunion. The fact that Andy gave her 30 minutes to go through her trauma, it just seemed a little bit manipulative. It seemed as if Andy was trying to give her a moment to rehabilitate herself. And Kandi says that she wasn't there for it. She wasn't buying it. She wasn't believing it. She said that she does have compassion and empathy for everything that Marlo has been through, but she knows that that was absolutely Marlo being manipulative, because she said that when they first got there and they all sat on stage, Marlo instantly started apologizing to each girl for her behavior throughout the season. So she was really trying to make sure that she didn't get her feet held to the fire for any of her misdeeds that she did this season. And I 100% agree with Kenya not being here for Marlo and the BS. I agree with Kenya when she says that Marlo is trying to rewrite history. She is sitting up on this stage acting as if she is Mary Poppins. No, ma'am. Every chance Marlo got to bring up the fact that Kenya was going through a divorce, or that, Kenya's husband didn't want her, or any opportunity she got to bring up baby Brooklyn or anything. You got that fake booty, that fake body, that botched this, and Marlo takes it. And it's really hard for people to feel bad for Marlo when you have seen her go countless of seasons throwing low blow after low blow, and then wanting everyone to show her love and respect and, empathize with her in her past. That is really hard to do.
What I find very hard is things that she says does not match her actions. And when she talks about having issues with men and not being sexual, but yet in the very next breath, she's talking about Kandi couldn't keep a man because her pussy wasn't good.
I said that.
Can I have a tissue, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Are you moved and you want to wipe a tear?
No, my nose is cold.
Oh, okay. Thank you for sharing
You're welcome.
all
Thank
that.
you for letting me open up.
It's called
Well, I do think hearing about your
It's called
backstory.
evil bitch. I'm used
Stop
to it. You know, you
with
get
the
used to
fake
abuse.
stories and the
So I
fake
love
news. Stop.
You want me to move on, Kenya?
It's hurt.
I really would love it.
I'm going to do it.
I was dancing for my grandmother, and it felt so good, to be out there and just to remember her coming to my recitals and for her being there and cheering me on.
He is like a 10 out of 10.
I heard from a friend of a friend that D was a 10 out of 10.
I'm sure you've sucked in the car, you sucked at different places.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm sure you sucked it.
I haven't done it in a lot of days.
This language.
Do you think Kenya will be your friend after you disrespect her continuously?
No, I think she's done with me. I think it's over. I'm going to be so stressed out, sad. I am. I don't know what I'm going to do without
That's
Kenya.
the sociopath.
I don't
in
know
her.
what I'm...
Everything about you is fake, Marlo. Your
didn't ask
name
me
is
that.
not even your real name.
I know, you
Your
sound
name is
crazy.
not even your real name.
Is your
Latoya
name,
Hutchins.
is your name Latoya?
She did make a comment saying that, regarding her nephews, when she went to foster homes, the foster parents took classes, and there was no classes for her. She was just thrown into being a Monty. Listen, I don't want to hear that excuse either. You are very well off in your life. You know that these foster parents get classes. Why didn't you ask for classes when you got custody of the children? Or why didn't you take some parenting classes on your own? Put you and your nephews in therapy together. You had opportunities, and you are not about to make up all these excuses as to why you threw those boys out. You cannot do that when you take on the responsibility of being a parent. When you are a parent, those children come before everything else. And she can say, well, I'm not a mom. But when you took in those children, you became a mom. I just feel like this reunion, Andy was trying everything he could to make all of us feel bad for Marlo. There was no accountability. He did not hold her feet to the fire. He did not bring up any of her behavior this season. None of it. It was almost as if, hey, just forget about it. Just forget about it. She had trauma in her life, 30 years ago. So we're just going to let her keep doing what she's doing. Kenya with that may I have a tissue thing. And Andy, oh, are you moved by the story? No, my nose is cold. You know what? I stand behind Kenya 100%. I really do. Candy was laughing. Everybody was laughing. Marlo and Kenya go back and forth over the fact that Kenya says she's an icon and Marlo is an ex-con. And then, Kenya says that Marlo's name is not even Marlo, that her real name is Latoya or Latasha, something like that. And I truly do believe Kenya. I don't think that Marlo Hampton is her real name at all. Kenya also says that Marlo went to jail for slashing some woman's face. And then out of nowhere, Andy says, well, let's move on. What? Are we just going to move on? I want to hear more about this face slashing situation. They also talked about the situation at Kenya's daughter's birthday party when somebody wrote that comment about Candy sucking dick in the locker room. I don't care what anybody says. I think that Marlo or Sheree wrote that comment. Marlo or Sheree wrote that comment. They absolutely thought it was hilarious. And the fact that they pushed past that Candy didn't hold firm about Sheree making that comment about why is she upset? She sucked dick everywhere else. That was so highly offensive, especially when you claim to be this woman's friend. Then they showed the clip, of course, of Marlo and Sheree sitting outside talking about Kenya and Candy. And nobody said, I'm sorry. No one's feet was held to the fire yet again. They just kind of moved past it. And for me, there's no moving past that. Freeze, hold up. Let's talk about this. Why were y'all out there talking about Candy, calling her all kinds of hoes, calling Kenya hoes? Why is that okay? This whole reunion, part 1 and part 2, was a big long therapy session for Marlo so that she could cry on Andy Cohen's shoulder. I absolutely agree with Kenya. Marlo came out there and she was absolutely doing damage control. When they brought up the segment about Ralph gaslighting Drew, she said that she didn't know what gaslighting was. And then once it was explained to her, once she saw the definition, she realized that yes, Ralph was gaslighting her and things are getting so much better. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I think that next season we're going to see Ralph back, Drew back, and it's going to be more of the same. I don't think that Ralph respects her, and I think that he walks all over her because she allows it. And as long as she continues to allow him to treat her this way, he's not going to change. He's going to continue on with it. Then there was a segment where somebody had asked Marlo about her edges, and she tries to befriend Kenya, I guess, and says her edges are doing beautifully. She went to CVS and got some of that Kenya Moore hair care. And, really, stop trying to kiss Kenya's ass now. It's just not going to work. And of course, Andy brings up how much of an awesome businesswoman Candy is. How that very episode when she said, bitch, I'm worldwide. All of her bitch, I'm worldwide merchandise came out. Then all of a sudden, recently, Drew has launched a line of merchandise, which I don't know who's buying this. She's got a t-shirt that says, I'm from Chicago, bitch. She also has sweatshirts and t-shirts that have her name on the front. And on the back, it says, she invited me. And then she uninvited me. Who is buying that? Get down in the comments. Are you buying this merch from Drew? So Kenya's story regarding her grandmother, oh my goodness, let me tell you, that definitely got me to crying. It melted my heart. And I am so glad that she is doing well. I am so glad that she came into the season a lot happier than she was in past seasons. I'm also really happy that her and Drew have become friends. I was completely shocked to find out that she is still not divorced from Mark. She says that it's just at a standstill right now, so I'm hoping that they can move this along, because that's just too much. They went over the Kenya hanging up on Sanya, and Andy asked Kenya, does she regret hanging up on Sanya? And she said no. And of course, Sanya and I guess some of the other girls thought it was rude of Kenya to hang up on Sanya, but I didn't think so. Sanya continued to harp on all the small things. And she made sure that she said multiple times that this was a couple's trip. And I don't care how she tries to explain it away. If she would have kept doing that to me, I would have hung up on her as well. Martell Holt calls, knowing good and daggone well that they were filming that reunion. I think that he purposely called because he wanted to have his name brought up. I think this relationship between Martell and Sheree, I think they both mutually benefit from dating each other, because next season, this season coming up that they're about to start filming, Martell can get some airtime on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She can get some airtime on the next season of Love and Marriage Huntsville. I think they are absolutely using each other. We also find out that Sanya and Ross are trying for baby number 2, and so I'm wishing them the best of luck. And they talked a little bit about Drew and Sanya going to Drew to ask her advice regarding having another baby. My thing with this was, if Sanya really didn't like Drew the way she says she didn't, why are you asking for Drew's advice? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. Then on top of all of that, yes, I think that Drew was doing a little bit too much. It is not a woman's job or duty to have a baby with her husband just because he asked her to. This is our body. We are in charge of it, and we should be able to have babies or not have babies depending on whatever it is that we want. There was an argument between Marlo and Kenya calls Marlo a sociopath, and she tries to break down, describe what's wrong with Marlo and how Marlo's behavior, affects the ladies in the group. And Marlo tells her that don't mess with her character and her reputation. You ruin your own character or reputation every time you open your mouth. So please, several seats and shut the hell up. It's time for this pity party for Marlo to be over. Anthony is clearly a liar. He is backpedaling. He is telling Drew one thing, he's telling Sheree another thing, and then when he got called out, he tried to dance all around the mulberry bush about it. I think that he's a big liar who really wanted to have his 15 minutes of fame, and I think that Drew and Sheree should just leave it there and move on. Move on. This is ridiculous. Anyway, you guys, I can't squeeze anything else out of this reunion. This reunion was dry. And I cannot believe that there is a third part to all of this. Let's see if we can make it through. Get down in the comments, you guys. Let me know what you thought of this reunion. Was it as boring for you guys as it was for me? And until next time, bye.